Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to show you how to create VPC peering between two VPCs within the same region. Okay, let's start the template. Yeah, first I'm not going to depend any parameters. So because I have to write a lengthy of code, so first I'm going to define the resources. Okay, first I'm going to define the VPC for VPC that is going to be public VPC. So for this VPC I'm going to attach the internet gateway. That's why I'm going to name it as public VPC. Okay, let's start the cloud formation reference. So the type of resource is VPC. So after that I'm going to define the parameters for this one. Now we have to define the CIDR value and everything. So I'm going to take the CIDR value for this as it is. Okay, let me define these. These are all not required. Okay, anyway, I'm going to define the tags as well. The name of this VPC, and we have to define the value for this one. I'm going to use the pseudo parameter substitute, which is going to define the name of this VPC. I'm at a substitute this name of this VPC. Okay, now I'm going to define the public subnet for this VPC. So we can give the resource name can be anything. I'm putting the comment for this saved resource. Okay, let me refer the documentation for this. So had to define the VPC ID where I'm going to define the subnet. Okay. So within the public VPC, I'm going to create the subnet. And then so I'm going to refer the this VPC, and I'm going to define the CIDR value for this subnet. So I'm directly defining the value. So I'm going to define the availability zone. So here I'm going to use pseudo parameter select. So get availability function is going to give the availability zones from the regions. So I'm going to refer the AWS region pseudo parameter I'm using here, which is going to give the region, current region. So from this region, it is going to return the availability zones. From the availability zones, you can select the first r- availability zone. Okay, that's why I defined this one. Okay, now I'm going to enable the map public IP address as well, which is going to be give one public IP address. Okay, this is going to be required for my subnet because this is the public subnet. Okay, we have to use the boolean value true. So we already discussed in the previous programs about AWS pseudo parameters, select and everything. That's why I'm not going to define these parameters. I'm okay. Now I'm going to define one internet gateway. Okay, let me put the comment for this. Okay, so I'm going to give my public internet gateway. Okay, you can give any name for this one. So let me refer the document for the same. Let me copy the type of the resource and properties for this one. I'm substituting the stack name. You have to use the AWS stack name pseudo parameter. I'm adding the gateway name here. Okay. So after that we have to add this internet gateway to the VPC. For that we have to check for VPC gateway attachment. So there is a code for this one. Just go through the documentation. Okay, you can get all these documentation reference. So now I'm attaching this my public IGW to VPC attachment. You can give any name of this resource bin. Okay, after that we have to refer the internet gateway ID, or else you can go through the example. I had to define the VPC also. So you have to define the VPC for which VPC are going to attach this internet gateway. So we already used define the my pub VPC. So I'm referring that VPC here. So internet gateway, we already created the internet gateway. Have to refer that resource. Okay. So this is my internet gateway. Now we attach this internet gateway to our VPC. Okay. Now let me create the route table for this. Let me name it as public route table. I can give any name. me refer the VPC here. So my VPC resource is pub VPC. Okay, after that I'm going to refer the, okay, no need to do anything. Okay, going to define the tags. Okay, now we have defined the public route table. Okay, after that we have to associate the subnet route table to subnet to this route table. Okay, for that I'm going to define the one more resource, route table association. You can give any name. So this is the documentation for the subnet route table association. Okay, so the type of this resource should be this one, and properties for this one. In the property we have to define the subnet. So which subnet we are going to associate. So here I'm going to refer my public subnet. So here I'm going to refer the my public subnet, which is going to be associated with this route table. After that, one more route table ID. So we have to define the route table as well. So we already defined the public route table, this one. So using reference keyword, we can refer the route table. Okay, 1 minute. Okay, we have associated the subnet to this public route table. Okay, after that I'm going to define the route for this route table. So let me define as public route. So let me open the reference document again. So select for the route. So scroll down somewhere you can find the route. See, this is the route we have to define for this resource. So let me go through the example. So let me copy this one. Okay, this is going to be depend on internet gateway. After type of resource, you have to define the depends on keyword. So here you have to define the internet gateway, because once you have the internet gateway route, then only you can add this public route. That's why we are defining depends on keyword. So let me go through the document. So here we have route table ID. So we already created the route table, right? So let me call this route table. So we gave the route table. After that, destination block where you are going to route add. This means 0. From anywhere you can able to access this resource. That's why we have added destination shaded block as 000. Okay, gateway ID also you have to add. Okay, let me call my internet gateway. I given public IGW. This is the internet gateway definition. So I'm calling this internet gateway. Let me define, oh, already defined this one. So, okay, we have created VPC resource, subnet, internet gateway and attached that internet gateway to VPC. After that, we have defined the public route and we added the subnet route, subnet into that public route table. After that, we added the route as well. Now I'm going to create the security group because security in the security group we can allow port number 22, which is allow you to the EC2 instance. Okay, let me define the security group research as well. Okay, so let me go through the reference documentation. So this is the documentation for the security group. Let me go through example. Okay, let me copy the entire thing. Wait, let me define the name of this one. Okay, I can give the name as security group, this resource. Let me correct the indentation. Okay, so here you have to refer the VPC ID. So we have created pub VPC, right? Let me refer that my VPC. So this is the public VPC. Let me close this. Okay, here. Okay, public VPC referred. Okay, now security group income. I'm going to change the port number to 22. So Linux server allow port number to connect. Okay. Now I define the security group as well. Now I'm going to launch the one EC2 mission. Let me define the EC2 mission as well. So okay, let me open the documentation as well. Okay, let me go through this one. The okay, first let me give the name for this resource. So my pub VM. Can give any name here. To launch a EC2 instance, I would require image ID. Okay, let me go to this. So image ID is required, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy this image ID. So for this, I'm going to copy the image ID from my AWS account. So for this, I'm going to EC2 dashboard, launch instance. I'm going to copy the EC2 instance ID. So here I'm going to launch Amazon Linux. For this, I'm going to Amazon Linux. I'm going to copy this image ID and I'm going to use in my template. Okay. After that, instance type as well. I'm going to so here I'm going to refer the instance type as well. So I'm going to use T2 micro. That's enough for me. Okay. Key name also I want to define. Let me copy the key name from my AWS account. So okay, let me go to the to dashboard. So somewhere in the key page, I'm going to use the this key name. Okay, now I'm going to launch this EC2 machine in my subnet. Okay, for that I'm going to select the subnet ID. I'm going to refer this subnet. Okay, I have already created private, public subnet. Let me copy the name of this resource. This is the public subnet resource name. So I am going to launch my EC2 machine into this subnet. Okay, let me add the security groups also. So as because I already created the security group, this one. So this is the security group. Okay, now I'm going to refer the security group as well. Okay, let me save this first. So what we have done is we have defined one public VPC, one public subnet, and one internet gateway, and we attached this internet gateway to this VPC. After that, we have created one route table, and we in that route table we have added the subnet. Okay, after that we have created one route. This is the route we have added. Okay, and the security group also we have created and attached it to the EC2 machine. Okay, okay. Now I created one EC2 mission and I'm going to launch in public VPC under public subnet. Okay. Now I'm going to create one more VPC. So for that I'm going to copy the same subnet IDs. So here I'm going to create the one more VPC. For that, uh, so I'm going to name as private VPC and private subnet. Okay, you can name anything. Let me change the name of this. So this is wait. So from here onwards, we are going to launch one more VPC. So I'm going to name as private VPC. Okay. So let me change the name as well. Now I define the private VPC. So we have to change the CADR value also. That's why I'm going to change from 10 series to 11 series. After that, I'm going to change the public subnet to private subnet and I'm going to refer this private VPC. Okay, I'm going to change this header value. Okay, so I'm not going to define the internet gateway for this private subnet and gateway also not required. So we would require one private route table. Okay, I'm going to call this. Okay, this is the private subnet association. Okay, so this is the correct. Okay, we have to call. I have to call this private subnet. We have to add this private subnet to this route table. So that's why I have to call this subnet ID and route table. We have created renamed as private route table, right? So that's why I'm changing to public to private route table. Okay. So we are not using any internet gateway. So that's why we won't require this internet routes. Okay, deleting this. Security group also we would require. So here we are attaching the security group to private VPC. Let me call this private VPC. This is a private VPC resource I'm going to refer here. So this is the, so I'm going to use the same port number 2222 because I'm going to connect from public machine to this private. Okay. So here I'm going to call private VM and I'm going to use the same image ID T2 Micri, same key also I'm using. So here we have to change the subnet ID. So here I have to use the private subnet ID. This is the private subnet we have defined. The same subnet I am going to refer to this EC2. Okay. And security group also I am going to change name for this private security group. Let me refer this security group from my EC2. Okay. Okay. What we have done created is we have created one private VPC, one private subnet, and one private mission. Okay. Now I'm going to define the VPC peering. Let me create the VPC peering. For this, go through the CloudFormation document. Okay, let me. So I'm going to call the VPC peering reference. Okay. Okay, let me open this VPC peering reference. That type of this resource is VPC peering connection. Okay, let me create VPC peering. The resource name I created as VPC peering and the type of this resource would be VPC peering connection. Okay, the properties of this resource. So what I would require one acceptor VPC and requester VPC ID both required. So this is the, so for this acceptor VPC I'm going to use the public VPC. This is the public VPC I created. I'm going to refer this using reference keyword, and for the acceptor VPC I'm going to call private VPC. This is the private VPC we have created, right? I'm going to call this one. Okay, this is how you have to define the VPC connection. Now we have to add this into route tables. So once we have created the VPC peering, then we have to add that VPC routes into public route table and private route table for both VPCs. Let me create the resource for that. So here I am defining public route table route public. Let me create. For the public route table, adding VPC route, VPC peering route. Okay, so I'm going to call as public VPC route. You can give any name. So I'm going to use the route table. So this is going to be depends on internet gateway. That property is not required. Anyway, I'm going to add that. Okay, this is going to be depends on VPC peering connection. Okay, once we have created VPC peering, then only you can do this. So route table ID. So we are adding this VPC peering connection. Let me select the public route table name. So we have already created a public route table. I'm adding. Okay. So destination CADR block. So this route should be go to this route. That means public route it has to go. From the public route to private route, I am adding the route destination. After that, gateway ID. So here we have to select the gateway ID, VPC peering connectivity. So here we have to refer the VPC peering. So not gateway ID, we have to select the VPC peering gateway ID. Let me go to the syntax. So here you have to add this VPC peering connection ID. So let me delete this gateway and add VPC peering. Okay, this is how you have to add VPC routing route to the public route and as well private route also you have to add. So let me for private route also add public route VPC VPC CADR value. Okay, let me define the public. Let me copy this one. So here I'm going to name as private. So for this route we have to change the public route to private route. Okay, we already defined the private route table. So this is the private route table resource. This is I'm going to refer from my VPC peering route. Okay. So this destination block should be go to public VPC. That's why I'm going to define the public VPC CIDR value. The VPC peering connection would be VPC peering. Okay. Okay. Let me save this. And okay, my private VPN, everything seems to be good. Okay. Now let me create practically. So I'm going to CloudFormation service. So here select create. So I'm going to what is the name I was given to this VPC peering same region. Okay. Let me scroll down. This is the template I have created now. I'm selecting the same. Okay, somewhere it is giving the error 11 number 20. Okay, what is this? I have used the capital E. You have to use the small. Okay, let me save this again and close this, and let me select the same template again. So one more error. This is line number 97. Okay, what is that? Let me scroll down. Here also we given the capital letter. Okay, okay, let me close this error and I'm uploading the same template and click on next. Okay, okay, we have one more parameters. What is this? Invariant template parameter. Let me, somewhere we have defined some error. So sorry, here we have to define the properties, and also in the private VPC also we have to change that security group. Yes, here also have to change the properties. Let me save this template again, and I'm closing this error and I'm re-uploading the same. Oh, one more error. Property, somewhere I defined wrongly properties. So you forgot properties. Okay, here also I changed. Sorry, I defined the properties name is wrong. That's why it is giving. Here also I'm correcting the properties name. Let me save this template and re-upload. Oh, one more error. One more somewhere the same error. So everywhere I written the properties name as differently. That's why it is giving error. Okay, let me re-upload this one. So I define this one format version. Okay. Okay, now errors are cleared. Now I'm going to give the name as root stack. Okay, click on next. Now click on submit. So it will take some time. Let me pause this video and I will come back again. Yeah, now the root stack is creation is completed. Okay. So if you go through the resources, so this is the public VM is launched and private VM also launched and VPC peering also created. Let me connect to the one public mission now. So going to check the VPC peering between these two missions. For that I'm going to wait. This is the internet gateway, right? Okay, 1 minute. This is the public VM. So I'm going to connect the public mission first. From the public mission to private mission, I will access it. Okay. So for that, I'm going to connect through my putty. Okay. Now I connected to the public mission. Okay. From the public mission, I'm going to connect the private mission. Okay. Let me. This is my private mission. So let me copy the private IP address. Okay. I'm going to connect. So before that, I'm going to add the PEM key to this public mission. For that, my public key dot the PEM key is required to connect to the Linux EC2 machine. So we have used Ireland PEM key. So that's why I'm uploading this PEM key into public mission. So let me save this and I'm going to give this read read only access to this public mission. Sorry, public key. Okay, now I'm going to connect my private mission using this my public key. So now I'm going to access my private mission from my public mission. So for that, I see to hyphen user. This is by default created by the AWS account. Sorry, let me copy. Sorry, let me let me copy the private IP address of my private mission. See, now I'm going to connect private mission. Yes, now I connected. So now I connected to my private mission. See, let me exit from this one. If you see, this is the public IP of public mission IP address, and this is private mission IP. So we are able to connect using this peering connection. Let me delete the peering connection and see. So okay, this is how we have to create the VPC peering between two VPCs using CloudFormation. Thank you for watching.